सन्माक्तिक प्रकार कांति विशेष भाजः पूर्वे जयन्ति गुरुवो गुरु शास्त्र सिंधु कललोल केली कलनामल कर्णधाराः पूर्वे जयन्ति गुरुवो गुरु शास्त्र सिंधु कललोल केली कलनामल कर्णधाराः जयति गुरुरेक एव श्री श्रीकण्ठो भुवि प्रथितः तदपरमूर्तिर्भगवान् महेश्वरो भूतिराजश्च श्री सोमानंद बोध श्रीमत उत्पल विनिहश्रिताः जयन्ति संविदामोद संदर्वा दिक्प्रसर्पिणः तद आस्वाद भरावेश ब्रह्महितां मति षट्पदीम् गुरुर्लक्ष्मण गुप्तस्य नाद सम्मोहिनीं नुमः सदाभिनवगुप्तं यत्पुराणं च प्रसीदमता हृदयं तत्पर उल्लासय स्वयं अस्फुर्जे अनुत्तरम् अभिनवरूपा शक्तिः तद्गुप्तो यो महेश्वरो देवः तद उभयामलरूपम् अभिनवगुप्तं शिवं वन्दे यः पूर्णानंद विश्रांत सर्वशास्त्रार्थपारगः श्रीक्षेमराजः सो दृश्यादृष्टं मे गुरुरुतमः श्रीवसुगुप्त महागुरु सोमानंद प्रभु उत्पलाचार्यन् अभिनवगुप्तं नाथं वन्दे श्रीक्षेमराजश्च नमो निखिल मालिन्य विलास पनपटियसे महामहेश्वराय श्रीरामाय गुरुर्मूर्तये नमः कारुण्यदेहाय वीराय शुभदन्तिने भक्तिगम्याय भक्तानां दुःखहर्त्रे ते नमस्तुते यस उन्मेषनिमेषाभ्यां जगतः प्रलयोदयः तं शक्तिचक्रविभं प्रभवं शङ्करमस्तु महा नमः शिवाय सततं पंचकृत्यविधायिने चिदानन्दघन स्वात्म परमार्थ अवभासिना आस्यानं चित्रस्योगं साकारतमुपागतं जगद्रूपतया वन्दे प्रत्यक्षं भैरवं वपुः ओमानंद सुंदर पुरंदर मुक्त माल्यम मौलोहटेन निहितं महिषासुरस्य पादाम्बुजं भवतु मे विजयाय मज्जिरसिंचित मनोहरम् अंबिकाया सहशीर्षा पुरुषा पुनातु वः सहश्चक्षुर्भगवान् सहस्रपात् गले अंगी घ्रीणमूले नयने च निश्चला त्रयो अपायामि यमपुरुषा उपासते ॐ सन्नो मित्रः सन्वरुणः सन्नो भवते अर्यमा सन्नो इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः सन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायु त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म असि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मा अवतु तत्त्वाकारम् अवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 जय गुरुदेव हर हर महादेव जय गुरुदेव thank you very much. So this is the last work of our Gurudev and the most important work. Everybody is recommending some other books for any beginner, but I recommend this book to anyone who just want to get into this. So, studies in the memory of Gurudev, Acharya Motilal Panditji. That series we are doing as a tribute in the lotus feet of our Gurudev, none other than Acharya Motilal Panditji. And the last work, published work, other unpublished work, we are still in the process of publishing that one, the Tantra Lok one. That is the Tantric and philosophical aspect of Kasmir Shavism. So today I will take you to the preface. So I'll start with the preface. And then slowly we will go deeper with our Guruji holding his hand. So let's remember the Bharat. Aghorebhyot ghorebhyo ghora ghor taribhyascha sarvatha sarvebhyo namaste rudra rupebhya अघोरेभ्योऽथ घोरेभ्यो घोर घोर तरिभ्यश्च सर्वथा सर्वेभ्यो नमस्ते रुद्ररूपेभ्यः अघोरेभ्योऽथ घोरेभ्यो घोर घोर तरिभ्यश्च सर्वथा सर्वेभ्यो Namaste Rudra Rupebhya. Now, before entering into the preface, it is important to clarify the methodological lens through which we are reading Guruji's work. That's very important. So the preface is not only developmental rhetoric, it is historiographically and philosophically structured, what we found in this work. Therefore, our approach must be also very rigorous, too rigorous. So let's dive down. The first point I took up, that's the historiography, the developmental framework in the preface. So we are reading Kasmir Shavism here, not as an isolated mystical system. We are examining in this book as a Kasmir Shavism as a result of civilizational evolution. So the key points Guruji pointing out here, the Indian philosophy did not develop in linear replacement. It developed through the dialogical assimilation. So Guruji's preface resists the simplistic narrative that Shaivism suddenly appears as a finished metaphysical system. Instead, it situates it within the centuries of interaction between the Vedic ritualism and Shramanic asceticism, Buddhist epistemology, and the Sankhya ontology. So the important scholarly emphasis here is non-linear development, intellectual cross-pollination, and the communal evolution. And the second point I'm highlighting here, that's the textual criticism, the formation and dating of canon. So the preface of this work makes a critical historical claim. Saiva canonical texts are post-Christian. Most tantras crystallize between the 4th to 8th centuries, and this is historically significant. So antiquity of ideas is not equal to the antiquities of the written texts. So Guruji distinguishes between conceptual integrity and the textual crystallization. While Saiva ideas may be ancient, the codified agamic literature emerges historically in the early meditative period. So this prevents mythological dating and promotes academic integrity. And the third point here in the methodological orientation, that's a comparative philosophy, the inter-system dialogue. Here, Guruji pointing out in the preface, Kashmir Shaivism develops through engagement with Sankhya, causation theory, Buddhism, epistemology, and the Vijnanavada, Vedanta, non dual metaphysics, and Tantra, ritual, and praxis. So the Kashmir Shaivism is philosophically synthetic. It is neither purely Vedic nor anti Vedic, neither purely dualistic nor strictly monistic. It absorbs and transforms prior system. So the key concept is here. This is intellectual assimilation, not borrowing in weakness. That's very important here. And the fourth point is the doctrinal analysis, the intercoherence of Shaivism. So while acknowledging the historical influences, we must also examine Shaivism internally. What we are going to examine, is it ontology coherent? Is its epistemology systematic? Is it soterically logical grounded? For example, Aspanda as metaphysical principle, Saiv Sakti non-duality, and Prativigya as epistemic liberation. So, Guruji's preface prepares us to see Kashmir Saivism not as a loose collection of the tantric rituals, but a rigorously structured metaphysical system. Thus, our study today proceeds historically, critically, comparatively, and doctrinally, so that we neither mythologize nor trivialize Kashmir Saivism, but understand it in the pause. Now, in the next slide, let's come. That's a civilizational background. So, before we situate Kashmir Saivism historically, we must understand the broader civilizational matrix from which it emerged. Indian religious thought did not arise in isolation, it developed through deep structural tensions within society itself. So, the first point is the Vedic ritualism, the Yajna centric cosmology. So, the early Vedic religion, the early Vedic period, the Rig Vedic, the Rig Vedic time to the Brahmanic period, that's the ritual, the yajna, as a central religious act. And the maintenance of the cosmic order, the rata, most important. And the reciprocity between the gods and the humans be found. And the socially embedded spirituality during that period. So the important Sanskrit references we can have, what is being pointed out, like yagyo vai sresh tamam karma. So yagya is the highest act at that time. Ritam satyam bridaha, like Rata and Satya uphold the cosmos. So the ritual is not symbolic, it is cosmological participation. The priest is a cosmic technician in that period. So the religion here in that period, from the Rig Veda to the Brahman Kal, where the preface is pointing out, religion here is the communal, world affirming, and the householder oriented. No central concern with the liberation from existence. So there is no liberation, no focus on that. So the Vedic world is not pessimistic about the existence. It seeks prosperity, progeny, longevity, and alignment with the cosmic order. That's the Vedic religion. Now, I'm just I'm just taking you to the Sramanic renunciation, that tapas and the moksha oriented period. So around 6th century BC, urbanization, the Mahajanpatas are coming, social change is happening, and the intellectual fermentation is going on. So the emergence of the Sramana movements happening, like Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivika traditions. So the key features we found is tapas, sannyas, moksha, nirvana, and rejection of the ritual centric system. We have references like tapsa, brahma, vijigya, saswaha. So through austerity, seek the absolute. Sansar, dukhaha, the suffering of becoming. So now the existence itself become problematic. So the question shift from how to sustain cosmic order to how to escape the cycle of becoming. So now this shift happened in the society. And now the third point is coming up. It's a urban aesthetic tension, the householder versus renouncer paradigm. So we got the sociological dimensions, the two systems now we have in the society. One is the householder, grihastha, and one is the renouncer, the sannyasin. So grihastha, they are ritual oriented, ritual participation, but the renouncer, sannyasin, they are into withdrawal. Householders, social duty, dharma, and the renouncer, liberation or moksha centric. Householders, grihastha, they are prosperity oriented, but the renouncer, the sannyasin, they are transcendent oriented. So this tension is not merely theological, it is civilizational. So the urban centers encouraged intellectual pluralism, generated existential anxiety, and questioned ritual sufficiency. So this produced existential internalization. So the tension between the ritual participation and world renunciation created the philosophical dynamism of Indian thought. And the fourth point is the emergence of the soteriological consciousness. So now the connect of the two streams, from this tension arises. What arises? The first thing is doctrine of karma. Second thing is doctrine of samsara. And the third point is the liberation as ultimate human aim. So Upanishad is also indicating that development with the Mahavakyas like Tatvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi. So sacrifice become internalized. So Pran Yagya, Gyan Yagya is coming up. A religion become metaphysics now. Now the important analytical insight here we found in the preface is Kashmir Shavism emerges centuries later as a system that refuses to choose between the ritual affirmation and esoteric renunciation. Instead, it integrates them. So, very important point here: Shavism retains ritual. Shavism affirms world, yet maintains liberation as the ultimate goal. So, the transforms renunciation into recognition, that is the Prativigya. So it resolved the civilization tension. So that's the beauty of Shaivism. That's the beauty of Trika. So it resolved this civilizational tension basically. So the civilizational background represents a shift from the cosmological ritualism to existential interiology to the metaphysical synthesis. So the Kasmir Savagism stands at the third stage here. So in the end, for the civilizational background, this preface invites us to see Kashmir Savagism not as a sudden mystical eruption, but as a philosophical resolution of a long standing civilizational dialectic between the ritual affirmation and renunciatory transcendence. So now I will take you more deeper in the next slide. Let's come together. Now the Brahmana versus Sraman Parampara. So this concept in the this indication in the preface represents the structural philosophical tension that shaped Indian intellectual history. We are not dealing with the two isolated traditions here, but two powerful paradigms that continuously influenced and reshaped one another. So both are interacting and both are affecting each other. So the Brahman Parampara, the Brahman tradition, that tradition is ritual centric, that is socially embedded, cosmologically oriented, and the authority of the Veda is central. So the key elements in that parampara, yajna and the cosmic order Rata and the Varnashram Vyavastha, dharma as a social obligation in this parampara. So that is important to emphasize here. This tradition affirms the world. This tradition affirms the social continuity. This tradition affirms the hierarchy, and this tradition affirms the ritual efficacy. So the Brahminical worldview does not see existence as inherently problematic. It sees it as a structured cosmos requiring alignment. So you have to just live your life in the harmony of the cosmos. Now come to the Sravan Parampara, the renunciation and liberation centered spirituality. So this Shravan tradition is anti-ritual, so or at least ritual minimistic, renunciation oriented, and individual salvation oriented, sometimes authoritarian. The key feature of this parampara is tapas. The key feature of this parampara is sannyas. The key feature of this parampara is moksha or nirvana, or the key feature of this parampara is also ahimsa. So interior discipline is one of the crucial point of this parampara also. So Sravana traditions shift the axis of the religion from the cosmology to existential suffering. So in Sravan Parampara, in Sravan thought, the central problem is no longer cosmic disorder but existential bondage here. So now the synthesis through the dialogue, no conflict, but the preface is talking about the dielectric. So now Guruji is shedding some light philosophically. It is tempting to frame this as orthodox versus heterodox, but Guruji suggests something more nuanced here. What appears externally as opposition functioned historically as philosophical provocation. Each tradition forced the other to evolve. For example, what Guruji has given in the preface, Brahmanism absorbs karma theory deeply. Upanishads internalize sacrifice. Shravan tradition borrow metaphysical categories, and later Tantra integrates ritual and the liberation. So the historical transformation is happening here. we can see, we can sense in the preface itself. So the first stage was the Vedic ritual dominance, and the second stage, Shravan challenges, and the third stage is the Upanishad internalization, and the fourth stage is coming Tantric synthesis. So now it is the indication is coming even in Rig Veda also, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, and even Upanishad internalized also, like Yagya becomes Jnana Yagya, and later Saiva synthesis is coming, recognition, the Pratipigya replaces renunciation. So the philosophical significance also Guruji pointed out here. The Brahman model emphasizes transcendence through participation. The Shravan model emphasizes transcendence through withdrawal, and the Kashmir Saivism eventually proposes transcendence through recognition within manifestation. This is revolutionary, really revolutionary. So Kashmir Saivism neither rejects the world nor escape from it. It divinitizes it. So the civilizational intelligence here is now, like Indian civilization did not eliminate internal contradiction, it metabolized it. The result is layered philosophical systems. It explains why ritual persists. It explains why asceticism persists. It explains why devotion persists and why metaphysics flourished all simultaneously. So, in the end, we can say, like what Guruji indicating here, Kashmir Saivism emerged as a sectorial alternative, but as a sophisticated resolution of a long-standing Brahmana and Samana dialectic, affirming rituals, affirming liberation, affirming metaphysics, and yet transcending their mutual exclusiveness. Now, the next one, just we are entering the synthesis through dialogue, the samvadatmak vikas. So here Guruji marks one of the most decisive conceptual revolutions in Indian intellectual history, the emergence of the karma as a universal moral law. Earlier religion was cosmological, ritualistic, collective. Now religion becomes moral, existential, and the individual. So the doctrine of karma, the karma siddhant, that in early Vedic religion, karma means ritual acts. Yajna is the karma. But the latter, karma becomes moral causation. Action generates consequences beyond this life also. So it is the indication, the sense is, smell is coming from yatha karma yatha srutam Bridhanak, that's one, as one act, one, so one becomes. Now the cosmos is moralized. So the doctrine of karma universalized responsibility. One cannot escape the consequences of the action, not even through the ritual substitution. This marked the decline of pure ritual mediation. Now the second point, the synthesis is coming, like cyclic becoming sansar chakra. So if actions accumulates consequences across lifetimes, then existence becomes cyclic. So the Sanskrit term is coming, sansar or punarjanam or bhavachakra is coming. So existence is no longer linear, it is recursive. So this introduces existential fatigue in Buddhism language, in Buddhist language. It is called like sansar dukha. In Upanishad language, it be called mrityu or atma mritam gama. So now the world becomes transient, repetitive, and unsatisfactory. This is a radical psychological shift in our society. Now the next one is the moksha prasna, the question of the liberation. Guruji is shedding light here, like now karma binds and sansara repeats. So then the question becomes, how does one exit this cycle? This is the birth of moksha problem. Earlier concern how to sustain prosperity. Now concern is how to escape becoming. This is a civilizational pivot. So the emergence of karma transformed religion from cosmic participation to existential release. Now the shift in the religious authority. Earlier it was priest, so priest mediates destiny. Now individual moral responsibility determines destiny. This empowers renunciatory movements. This is why Sravana tradition flourishes. They offer direct solution to the karma bondage. So the Upanishad internalization is Guruji is shedding some philosophical depth here. Upanishad respond by internalizing rituals. Sacrifice becomes knowledge. For example, Nayatma pravachaneta labhya, the locus of liberation moves inwards. This internalization prepares the ground for tantric metaphysics, recognitional prativigya doctrine, and the spanda theory. So the transition to the Shaivism, now Kashmir Shaivism accepts karma, sansara, and the bondage, but reinterpret them. Bondage is not ontological here, it is epistemic contradiction. So avidya is equal to viprita. So the liberation becomes recognition, prativigya, not escape from the world, but recognition of its Saiva nature. This is philosophical radical. So I'm ending with this five slide today. Ending with this thought, what Guruji pointed out with this synthesis. The doctrine of karma generates the problem of bondage, the experience of samsara, and the urgent search of moksha. Kashmir Shaivism inherits its existential question but answers it in uniquely non dual, world affirming manner. Th- that is the beauty of Kashmir Shaivism. Jai Gurudev. So I will do this Bhairava Stava in the end. Balaji, I'm doing Bhairav Astava. Ending with Bhairav Astava. अतः भैरवस्तवः व्याप्त चराचर भाव विशेषम छिन्मयमेकमनन्तमनादिं भैरवनाथमनाथ शरण्यं त्वन्मयचित्ततया हृदय वन्दे त्वन्मयमेतदशेषमिदानीं जातिमं तमनुग्रहशक्त्या त्वं च महेश सदैव ममात्मा स्वात्मयं स्वात्मयं मम तेन समस्तम् स्वात्मनि विश्वगते त्वयि नाथे तेन न संसृतिभीतिकथास्ति सतस्वपि दुर्धर दुःख विमोह त्रास विद्यायसु कर्म गणेषु अन्तकमां प्रतिमादृशमेन क्रोध कराल तमा विनिदेहि शंकर सेवन चिंतन धीरो भीषण भैरव शक्तिमयोस्मि हितस्मुपोधव भवमय संभि तितारित भूरित मिश्र मृत्युयमांतक कर्म पिशाचर नाथ नमस्तु न जातु विभेमि प्रोश्चित सत्य विबोध मरीचि प्रोश्चित विश्व पदार्थ सतत्वा भाव परामृत निर्भर पूरने तो ये हम आत्मनि निर्मिति मेमि मानस गोचर मेति यदैव क्लेश दशातनुताप विधात्री नाथ तदैव मम त्वयि भेदा स्तोत्र परामृत वृष्टिरुदेति शंकर सात्यमिदं व्रतदान स्नान तपो भवताप विदारी पापक शास्त्र परामृत चिंता यस्यन्ति चेसि निर्मितिधाराम् नृत्यति गायति हृष्यति गाढम् संविधियं मम भैरवनाथ त्वां प्रियमाप्य सुदर्शनमेकं दुर्लभमन्यजनैः समज्ञम् वसुरूपसे कृष्णदशाम्याम् अभिनवगुप्तः स्तवं मिम करो येन विबुधभवमरुसन्तापं शमयति झटयति जनस्य दयालुः हरिरेव जगदेव हरिः हरितो जगतो नहि भिन्नमसु यति यस्मति परमार्थ गति सा नरो भव सागर उतरति। पर भैरवनाथ की जय। जय गुरुदेव। हर हर महादेव। हर हर महादेव। So this is in the lotus feet of our Gurudev. Jai Gurudev. Any words from anyone? Balaji or Jyoti ji, any word?
Yeah, Om Namah Shivaya. I think this is a very good start. So, in the footsteps laid down by our Guruji, we will continue to do the studies. Thanks for initiating this. So, wait. Om Namah Shivaya.
Balaji?
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek ji. Thank you so much. It was beautiful and it was so reminiscent of Gurudev when he used to teach us. And we are, I think all of us would be feeling the presence of Gurudev himself while going through this last but most important work of Gurudev. Thank you.
Jyoti ji, आप कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं?
Thank you, because for me it's a new beginning and I will learn step by step. And thank you so much for teaching us this way.
Jai Gurudev. So closing this